Hello, Serge here from the back porch. I received a phone call the other day from one of my old friends and students here from the upstate, Barry. And Barry's now retired and living in Charleston, and he's taken up golf again. For all the time I knew him here, he was a golfer, but he hardly ever played. And with the few lessons he took, we had his game pretty solid, and he was probably a low single-digit handicap and hit the ball pretty well. But in the last 10 years, he's working and running his own business. He hadn't played much golf, and so the only talk we ever did about golf was how doing, and he's always checking up on seeing how DJ's doing, because he has known DJ since high school. But this is the first time in years and years where he called to chit chat, and then he said, can I ask you a question about the swing? And I said, whoa, what are you playing golf again? He said, yeah. He said, I'm over here on the coast, and I'm retired now, and I've joined the senior league, and he's playing with seniors. And he said, overall, he's hitting the ball pretty good. He said he's actually driving the ball well, but his irons are killing him. And he said that he can hit it either toe or on the heel, hit it chunky, hit it thin, and block it right, and as quick as hit a pull hook. And so he said his irons are just really bad. And would I have any suggestions? Okay, well, all of you who watch this regularly, I'm going to go ahead and start today's off with a quiz. What do you think, according to my Sergism about setup, is the number one thing that I told him that he should check first? All right, I'll give you all 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alignment. The Sergism for alignment is that 90 to 95% of all swing problems arise out of alignment. So first and foremost, I told him to check his alignment. Secondly, I told him that even though he feels like he's making a good 3/4 limited turn swing, I said that if his alignment was correct, he could very likely be taking too big a turn, which would automatically put him in a sacred burial ground, and coming back over the top and coming down a little steep. And that's what he was implying. He said he feels like he's coming over the top and coming down and hitting steep, because he said he occasionally hit quite some toe deep divots often. So I told him, check that. The next thing I said was that he needed to check that his clubs were correct. In fact, he had told me again that he had gotten a new set of irons. So I said, have you had the lies and the lofts checked? And he said, no. I said, well, you need to find a good club fitter, certified club fitter, get that done. And also have him, while you're there, have him check that your shafts are correct. Since you got a new set of clubs, even there's an outside chance that maybe they're too weak, or the playing characteristics of the shaft where it loads and kicks aren't correct for you. And so check those issues out. So we covered most of those bases. And lastly, I just told him that I think the other important thing would be is to really concentrate on swinging up to the tee finish. Because even if he got into the swing and he was still had a temperament of trying to hit down on the ball, and or if he had got to the point where he was starting with his upper body rather than the lateral left shift, the bump, he could be coming over the top a little bit and coming down. So he needed to check that out. And I said your shadow can help you with that, because your shadow will tell you if you're moving forward. And because any type of turning or hitting down on the ball tends, as you'll see from this position, tends to move the body forward. And if that happens, then you have to throw the club at the ball. And so that would be a swing issue that would be based on tempo and timing, and timing the proper sequential movement of the parts of the body. So I gave him about those 5 things, from alignment to 2 or 3 swing things to check, and then ultimately get his clubs checked. Well, about 3 or 4 hours later, he called me again. And he said, Serge, he said, you won't believe it. He said, I went to the range, I started hitting balls, and sure enough, he said, the first thing I check is my alignment, as you suggested. And he said, you won't believe it. And he says, instead of being parallel left after I set up to the ball, he said, and I already had a line down for my aiming line over here. He said, I came back here and then I put a line down for my toes, and he said, you won't believe it. It was turned into an X. I was aiming so far right. So instead of having the parallel lines, parallel left, Barry's a right-hander, he was actually a point where it was crossing. I mean, not just a little to the right. His line was actually crossing it, he said, for his toe line. So that is ridiculously far right. I mean, that's at least 50 yards right with the irons. And so there we go. Sergism Surgism number 1 for setup, in terms of the setup determines the motion, says that 90 to 95% of all swing problems arise out of alignment. So all the things you might be feeling, in the end, you can feel all of those things. They'll give you a hint. But the first thing you always need to check is to check out your alignment, because that is the major cause of bad swings, to hit bad shots. So let us not forget the big A, and the big A is what? The first letter in the alphabet. So let's go with that. First letter in the alphabet is the one you want to check. Sort that out with, identify it with alignment. Check out anything when you're doing things wrong. Start with your alignment and then work yourself back from there. Okay? So just like Barry, you're going to find out many, if not most times, that'll be the problem. And so the last thing I want to reiterate here is that when you're playing golf, if you ever hit a good shot to a wrong place, and by a good shot, meaning you would have gotten to a good finish, recoil and relax, put yourself back down, your feet back, and then drop the club by your toes and go back and check it relative to your alignment. I usually go back there and I'll get behind the line and I'll put my arm up like this, looking parallel to, that it's parallel to my toe line, and see where it points. If it's pointing out there to right field and I just hit it in the right bunker, then I know that my alignment was wrong, and so therefore I know that was a good swing just to a wrong point. So I'd like you to make sure that you do what? Next time you get up to the ball, don't worry about if you hit, and even if you hit a bad swing and alignment's off, don't worry about what you did wrong in the swing. Know that you just have to change your alignment and then make a good swing. And that brings us back to our major dictum about hitting a golf shot. Don't worry about what you did wrong, do it right. Check out your alignment, because most of the time that's the problem. Well, that's it for the search today, talking about alignment and how it is a big problem, and it's the number one problem we should always check out and cross out in terms of that, is it right or is that caused the problem? All right, and I'll correct, and with that, I'll close from here on the back porch today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.